I am, without a doubt, outrageously excited for Spider-Man 2. In fact, I'm so excited, I'm going to make a whole video about it. My name is Andy, this is Team Thumbs, let's talk about what could be in Marvel's Spider-Man 2. To attempt to bring some sort of order to this video, I'm going to split it into sections, and to start with, let's talk about Venom. Venom is 100% my favourite Spider-Man villain. Ever since I first saw him in the classic 90s cartoon, I've been obsessed. I can't tell you how excited I am that he's most likely going to be the main villain in Spider-Man 2. I have 3 theories of how he's going to appear. Theory 1. Eddie Brock. I think Eddie Brock goes hand in hand with the Venom character, and when you think of Venom, you think of Eddie Brock as well. This is how it could go. Eddie Brock stumbles, discovers Harry being treated for what his illness, tampers with the case, symbiote latches to Eddie Brock. Eddie Brock becomes Venom. This would mean most likely that Harry Osborn would die. In a fit of rage, Norman Osborn, Mayor of New York, head of Oscorp, becomes the Green Goblin to seek revenge on Eddie Brock / Venom. Venom and Green Goblin wage war across New York, with Spider-Man caught in the middle. Theory 2, and probably most likely to happen, Harry Osborn is Venom. I'm not sure how I feel about Harry Osborn as Venom. I'm not wholly against it, but I'm not really 100% for it either. I can see story advantages of Harry being Venom, however. Imagine a rainy scene, big fight with Venom, Spider-Man's down for the count, and it is at that moment that Venom reveals himself to be Peter Parker's best friend, Harry Osborn. I get chills just thinking about it. I think a lot of it comes down to that I know how well Insomniac would make that scene as well. The storytelling of the 2 games they've made already has been top class, and a moment like that would just be so well done, particularly if the gamer didn't actually know Harry was Venom. They had an inkling, they had a guess, but it was ambiguous, so it could have been a lot of different people, and revealing it there to Peter, beautiful story moment. Theory 3, and my outside chance bet, is that Peter himself takes on the mantle of Venom. Ultimately, writers like twists. The post-credit scenes of Miles Morales and the first Spider-Man game have led us to believe that Harry will be Venom. But what if Harry Osborn doesn't even feature in the game? What if Peter comes across his best friend, and seeing the state of his best friend will fill him with rage and anger? The symbiote will feed from Peter's anger and rage, and we get Venom symbiote Spider-Man, or just black suit Spider-Man. Then you spend the next section of the game as Miles Morales trying to stop Peter and bring him back to the good side. Miles versus Peter, Venom Punch versus Venom. I'm all for this. Ultimately, Venom will be the main villain, I feel. It just depends how Insomniac want to play it. I do have outside bets for other villains that may appear. You think of Mysterio, who was a major success in Spider-Man Far From Home. Would they want to see Mysterio so soon? I think we're pretty much nailed on to see Green Goblin appear as well. Whether this is to stop Harry doing something stupid as Venom, or to seek revenge on something that's happened to Harry, remains to be seen. For all we know, Harry could be Venom. Venom does bad things, Spider-Man kills Venom accidentally, discovers it's his best friend Harry, Norman Osborn gets really angry, becomes Green Goblin, hunts down Spider-Man. What a fascinating post-credit scene that would make in Spider-Man 2. You spend the whole game hunting down Venom, the character you think is the villain, only to find it's your best friend. Post-credit scene plays, Norman Osborn putting on the Green Goblin helmet. Whilst this would be cool, I think it's more likely we'll see Wilson Fisk escaping or being released from the raft in any post-credit scenes. I'm not sure we'll see the Lizard feature in Spider-Man 2. I think it's more likely that Doc Connors, who, for those that don't know, becomes the Lizard due to experiments, is teased rather than actually brought to fruition. One villain I'm fairly confident we won't see is the Rhino, because he featured quite heavily in Spider-Man Miles Morales, and other characters that we saw in the first Spider-Man game like Doc Connors, Electro, Mr. Negative and the Vulture will only be talked about. I don't think we'll see them actually in the game. If we see any of them, it will most likely be Dr. Octopus. Spider-Man 2 needs A-list villains, Venom, Carnage, Green Goblin, the top tier Spider-Man villains, if it's going to improve on the 2018 franchise. But what about good guys? Will we see any new characters being introduced to the series? I think it's highly likely we'll see Gwen Stacy. But what about the good guys? Will we see any new characters being introduced to the Spider-Man universe? Gwen Stacy is a good shout. I think Gwen Stacy might appear. But also crossovers. How are they going to expand the Avengers universe they're building on the consoles? Well, on the PlayStation. Will we see Daredevil? Or perhaps Iron Man, Black Widow, Captain America, Black Panther, or Doctor Strange? The Avengers Tower is in the Spider-Man game. Doctor Strange's house, probably commonly known as the Sanctum, it's in the Spider-Man game. And yes, Devil Advocate does say that these could just be fancy Easter eggs. But why would you put them in the game if you were intending on using them at some point in the future? The Spider-Verse does seem to be everywhere at the moment. It's talked about in all the films that are coming out in the near future. And are we likely to see the Spider-Verse bleed over onto the console games? It's possible. It's possible. I won't say it's likely. I won't say it's definite. I think it's possible. And I would love, personally, to see the return of Madam Web. Wow, I'm bugging myself into a real hole with characters and storyline. Let's talk about web slinging. There's a rumor going around that they are talking about changing the web swinging mechanics. I'm sure a lot of people would agree with me that this would be a mistake. I'm not going to talk too much about it because we've only got rumors to go from, but the small tweaks that were made in Miles Morales were as far as I would want to go with changing the web swinging. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. These dramatic changes to the web slinging is one rumor that I hope isn't true. There's been a lot of talk about the setting possibilities of Spider-Man 2 as well. It's a fairly solid presumption to expect Spider-Man 2 to take place in New York. I think after 2 games with the same map, we can expect to see an extended map, but I'm not sure about the change of location. I did see somewhere, whether it was on another video or somewhere I read, that some of the game might be set in Japan. Whilst this would be cool, I don't know how really it would fit into the story. If we do in fact leave New York at some point in the game, I expect it to only be for 1 or 2 missions. So I think we can expect the majority of the Spider-Man 2 to be set in New York, with the possibility of 1 or 2 other locations thrown in there. Anybody fancy web slinging around the Eiffel Tower? Spider-Man on tour! We now have 2 solid characters in Peter and Miles to populate Spider-Man 2. And whilst I do think the story will once again be focused on Peter, I have wondered if we'll see a GTA 5 style co-op where you can switch between Miles and Peter. I'd be happy to have a similar layout to the 2018 Spider-Man, which are dedicated Miles missions, but it's important that Miles has a role to play in Spider-Man 2. Perhaps one Spider-Man is in New York and another else somewhere else in the world, as they split up to conquer a global threat. Venom Carnage tag team, anyone? One thing I hope they don't do in Spider-Man 2 is follow the example of Avengers with online multiplayer missions and that old power level stuff. I don't think it worked well in Avengers, and it would not work well in Spider-Man. So hopefully they stick to the well-tested formula of Spider-Man 2018, Best Scream Era, and Spider-Man Miles Morales. And basically don't try and make it all Destiny-like. To finish with, let's talk about when we can expect to see Spider-Man 2. For all we know, this game has been in development for 2 years already. They could have finished Spider-Man 2018, finished Spider-Man Miles Morales, and picked up straight away. So this game could have already been in quite long-term development. There are rumours that we'll see it next winter 2021. I think it's reasonable to believe we'll see Spider-Man 2 on the PS5 between November 2021 and November 2022. Earliest 21, latest 2022. If I had to put an actual guess, I would probably say the spring release 2022 is the most likely. It's very important that they don't rush this game, and I think Insomniac have enough about them that they're not gonna rush this game. And that's it, to be completely honest with you. I could talk for an awful lot longer about this, but I don't want to in one video because we'll all be here for 7 hours. Let's have a discussion in the comment section down below, and if you want me to keep bringing these sort of videos to the Team Thumbs Instagram page, maybe get Rob and Graham involved as well and see what their thoughts are. then make sure you hit that like button to show your support for this video. And let's have a discussion down in the comments about Spider-Man 2 and what we think is going to happen. Any other major updates, I will keep us all posted. Follow the Team Thumbs account on Twitter, and I will keep everything updated on there. Check out this video if you have enjoyed this one. It's the top 5 Spider-Man games of all time, in my opinion. And the one here is my Spider-Man Miles Morales review. And don't forget to subscribe to Team Thumbs. We upload videos every Wednesday and Sunday. Thanks for watching. My name is Andy. This has been Team Thumbs. I'll catch you next time. Bye!